Folks, welcome into the SBR Betting Roundtable for April 11th. Yes, it is 4/11, the date. We got a lot of information coming at you. MLB, NBA playoff talk. Also go north of the border for some NHL playoff talk. Bet on, fade teams in any sport that the panel wants to go to. We'll start off from north to south. Introduce yourselves going north of the border. NHL playoff talk coming up with Ian Cameron. Find him on Twitter at Babano. His work at sportsmemo.com. Ian, welcome in, buddy.
Yeah, Drew, you know how I know it's the first day of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs? Because I'm doing more shows than I can shake a stick at today. I mean, it's unbelievable. Everybody calls me up. I don't hear from people for 8 months, and then all of a sudden, Ian, can you come on and talk Stanley Cup playoffs? I'm like, where have you been the last 8 months? Have you disappeared? You can't find you with a telescope. Now you want me to talk playoffs. That's nice. But anyway, that's what we deal with on the first day of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and looking forward to it. Love the Stanley Cup playoffs. Love hockey, of course. One of my favorite times of the year. Can't wait to drop the puck.
Good stuff. Talented NHL bettor right there, Ian Cameron. His work is in high demand. Next up, Donnie Rightside. Find him on Twitter at RightsideVP. His work at DonnieRightside.com. Donnie, welcome in, buddy.
Hey, good to another week on the roundtable here. Dropped the game last week when I had my Philadelphia Phillies, but we'll see if we can rebound. Got a decent spot picked out for tonight, but some interesting stuff that we're going to talk about today. Included some NBA talk. The tankathon is not over, folks. There is still one more game left. Playoff seeding is up in the air. Let's see if we can have a go in that as well. I know Ian's fired up for NHL hockey. Penguins Flyers tonight. Can't wait.
Penguins, Flyers for sure. And NBA Tankathon, good point, good betting angles there. Last, certainly not least, Jeff Nadeau, the big man on campus. Find him on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau. Jeff, welcome in, man.
Drew, obviously geography was not a strong suit of yours. Come on, you should know that I'm more north than Donnie Rightside is. Donnie's in South Jersey. He's the most far south, Drew. Come on. You did well in geography, didn't you? You seem like a smart guy.
No, if I remember right, you're a geography buff, right? You went through and named a bunch of caps.
I love it. Yes.
All right. Give us something the listeners might not know as far as geography.
The capital of Azerbaijan is Baku. There you go.
That's exactly what we were looking for, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, let's come right back at you, man. Bet on, fade teams. Use geography. Use what? Maybe soccer. I don't know. Do you have one for us as far as a team you're looking to bet on or fade away on?
I actually have one for both. I'm going to go with the fade team first. Listen, I mean, right now I'm going to fade the New York Yankees. I mean, it pains me to say because I do root for this team, but look, right now there's not a lot to be really excited about. I know the potential's there. I know the lineup. It's a young season and the lineup will probably get it going. But right now there's not a lot to be excited about. The bullpen's not been good. Other than Luis Severino, who didn't have a good start himself last night, they haven't had any real good starts from the bullpen. I mean, I know Tanaka had one, but he ended up blowing it. So right now with them, obviously you'd want more out of the lineup. Giancarlo Stanton's been historically bad. The only ones really hitting have been Judge and Gregorius. Gary Sanchez has been absolutely horrendous. Miguel Andújar doesn't belong in the field. Wade and Austin don't either. Brett Gardner can't hit. No one's really done anything for this team so far. And the Boston Red Sox look much better so far. Again, we're talking about a week-to-week basis here, people. I'm not saying that long-term the Yankees won't get it figured out. We come on this show every week, give our opinion. Right now, the mess that is this team has to be talked about. Their bullpen's at the top of the list. As far as going forward as well, I mean, they haven't been good on the road. I mean, starting out the season here, you're going to have to go win on the road coming up here again. You got another road series over the weekend. Also, a bet on team. I'll go with a team that I'm sure someone else will mention here. I know Ian Cameron sees his team. I know Donnie Rightside probably sees him as well. Pittsburgh Pirates. I bet on him yesterday. I'm going to bet on him again. Whenever I got the opportunity. This team's 8-2. They've been murdering the ball lately. You look at this lineup, seemingly everyone is hitting. The only guys not hitting really are no one. I mean, everyone's hitting. Everyone's hitting above 300, it seems like, on this group right now. Pitching's been good. They had Brialt going today. He's been pretty solid. Nova was pretty good last night as well. Like this team, we'll ride it for as long as it works. I'll go Pirates, bet on. Yankees bet against.
Bring up the Pirates. I mean, they're 4-0 on the road as well. Ian, he brought up you might be watching them for sure. I mean, anything on the Pirates? Also, do you have a bet on or fade team?
The Pirates are going to regress at some point. They're not going to keep this up, but as long as they show you that they're still winning, you just ride the wave until they start to crash, and the crash will come. I mean, this is not going to be a team that's going to win at a 70% clip the rest of the season, obviously, but right now, you just keep riding with it and rolling with it while they're getting decent enough pitching, and while that lineup 1 through 9 is coming through with the lumber right now. So until that changes, you can keep riding it, and then when things start to go south, maybe that's the time to jump ship, go the other way. The clear standout right now bet against team for me in Major League Baseball, it's the Texas Rangers. I mean, this team is just horrendous in terms of their pitching. Their pitching is in complete shambles. None of their starters can get the job done. Cole Hamels has a decline in his velocity. He's not fooling anybody anymore. The rest of this rotation's a disaster. Somehow Martin Perez, as we saw last night, one of the absolute worst starters, I think, in Major League Baseball, keeps getting run out there every 5 days, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. None of these starters are eating up innings. There's no Texas starter pitched longer than 6 innings this season. This is a bullpen that's been completely overused. It is now their 14th day in a row today, Texas playing without a day off. This bullpen has been gassed already, exhausted, and they're not really all that great to begin with. They're giving up runs in bunches. Seems like the opposition's getting to 7-8 runs on a routine basis now against this Texas team. And even their lineup has dropped off. Rougned Odor is now on the DL. Which he went on earlier this week. And there's not a lot of other bats that are really coming through. Held to 1 run last night. So this Texas team is miserable right now. Team worth betting against in the near future. Keep riding that.
Ian, I like that stat. No Texas Rangers starter has pitched 6 full innings. Is that the stat?
Not beyond 6 innings. I believe there was one start where Fister got into the 6th inning, 5.1, 5.2 innings. That's it. I mean, nobody is eating innings on this team, and that's now 13 days in a row where nobody has hit the 7th inning from a starting pitching perspective on this Texas rotation, which means this bullpen, without a day off, it's getting overused. The starters aren't eating innings. They're not a good bullpen. They're gassed. They're obviously not getting outs, and they're also a dead nuts over team right now, Texas, just because their pitching, starting, and bullpen's just been so awful.
No, that doesn't look to change either with the bullpen being taxed, to say the least. Yeah, I like that stat. No Texas starter has pitched 6 full innings. Donnie, I know you would like that stat. You're into bullpens. Anything as far as bet on or fade team in any sport?
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at Major League Baseball, which we're pretty much going to be keyed up on today, outside of talking about the NHL and the NBA, let's take a look at the Blue Jays out of the North. I mean, we all widely panned this team coming into spring training, coming out of spring training, not to do much in the AL East. Do we think they're going to win the AL East? No, but they're being very competitive early on, 8-4. One of the best stats that I do like to look at, the Blue Jays have 5 guys with a weighted on-base average of over 400. You're going to do damage in certain situations if you do have players that are hitting to that capability. I like the way they're coming out, but also when we talk about a value perspective, the Blue Jays are underpriced just about every night because we expect them to lose, and so does the public at this point. So keep an eye on the Blue Jays going forward. Not so much a fade team that we're going to look at, but as we like to talk late in March and early in April throughout the month until the hitting gets warmer, look at some of the big boys. Outside of, the Angels, I believe, are 9-3. The Houston Astros, 9-3. They're going to hit. They're going to win. They're going to have big prices. But let's take a look at some of the other big boys throughout the month. The Dodgers, 4-6. The Cubs, 5-5. The Indians, 6-5. The Nationals, 6-5. And if you're looking at a lot of those prices, we're looking at 150 and north. So if you're fading some of those teams in some spots, you're probably picking up some nice coin, even if it doesn't look like the right way to fade. Cubs versus Marlins at this point. It's hard to take the Marlins, but just overall as a fade, some of these big banging teams that over the summer will hit, not hitting yet early, and you might be able to find some spots and pick up some cash.
Okay. All right, Donnie, we were having some technical difficulties. I couldn't really hear you down here in Costa Rica. Ian, do you got me? Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, Drew. Good.
Okay. All right, guys.
I got you.
Ian, anything, I guess, from Donnie I need to know about as far as before we get into NBA playoff talk?
About what? No, from Donnie about what?
No, we're good. Ian, I'll shoot back at you, man. You brought up in our little pregame chat NBA playoff talk, look ahead, tanking, things like that. Actual betting tidbits to use in the NBA this time of year. Do you want to throw out anything as far as tanking and look ahead to playoff betting?
Well, that's going to be the focus tonight. You've got so many games where playoff positioning and who you play and who you don't play in the first round is going to be decided. There's a bunch of situations like that right now in the NBA. You've still got to see what the coaches are saying, specifically about their rotations. I mean, you've gotten little hints from certain coaches. Like, look at Brad Stevens last night. He didn't give a damn about that basketball game last night against the Wizards. He's looking ahead to the playoffs. He knows his team's decimated from an injury perspective. He doesn't need a bench guy, putting himself out there for more extended minutes in a meaningless game like that when you're already battling injuries and risking further injury. You just can't do that if you're Brad Stevens. So you got to look into these coaches and what they're saying today, morning shoot around type deal, see if they've got a special incentive and they voice that opinion and maybe that's something you can look at here in this game. We do, by the way, I want to mention too, have one winner-take-all game in the NBA tonight. It's winner in the playoffs, loser goes home. Denver and Minnesota. Big game on the slate tonight. Nuggets and T-Wolves. T-Wolves a -3 home favorite. It's crept up. It opened 1.5. It's up to 3. Total 212. I'll be looking to grab Denver here plus the points. Something about this Minnesota team, I don't exactly trust them. Their end game execution with Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns and company has left a lot to be desired at times. They've sort of crumbled in these close games, these tight, big games at times this season. I don't think Thibodeau's done a tremendous job coaching this group at times this season. I think Denver's loose. Denver's playing confident right now, and they're rolling going into this game. I'll be looking to grab all the points I can get there with Denver. I think that's a down-to-the-wire type of game.
As far as NBA betting?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm looking for the season to kind of end here and the playoffs get going on. When it was Saturday, you got obviously some big time series. Ian mentioned the Denver Minnesota game tonight. I agree with him. I think Denver's a little bit more trustworthy. They were actually 3.5 last night. Dropped down to 3. So some money coming in on Denver, which I'm sure it's public money. The concern that I have with that game is, obviously, whether you believe in the sharp fade stuff, I mean, sharp money did come in on Minnesota. Obviously, if right at the beginning when the line comes out, I don't think that's the public betting Minnesota. It'll be interesting, but no, I don't have particularly anything. Obviously teams are tanking. We saw last night Golden State had no interest in playing. But again, Philadelphia 76ers are the big game tonight as well. They get the ESPN game. How about that? They get the ESPN game against the Milwaukee Bucks. They win. They're the 3rd seed. They'll face Miami. So that's an interesting one as well.
Okay, thanks, big man. And yeah, guys, it's mostly Ian Cameron on the video screen. Good thing you took a shower. Right. You look good, Ian.
Yeah,
he's got his sign.
It's a good thing I dressed my Sunday best. Exactly. Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Well, yeah. Hey, Donnie, I couldn't hear you before. Now I can hear you. So you're obviously having some technical problems, but hey, we'll keep on trucking. Anything as far as NBA tanking? I know you're onto that, and NBA playoff, actual playoff betting tidbits.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not the biggest NBA bettor, but sometimes some value pops up in some spots that you want to look at doing a little research. I always like to point back. I'll tell you every single week, the easiest week to bet in the NFL football is week 17 because you know what everybody wants to do. Take a look at tonight. You know the teams that are resting. You know the teams that are trying to get in and get an extra spot into the playoffs or even improve seeding. Tonight, let's go to Philadelphia. The Sixers need a win to stay in that 3 spot. If we flip it over and look at the 6th seed, Milwaukee Bucks, there's some little added incentive there. If the Milwaukee Bucks lose, hopefully drop to the 7th seed and pick up the Boston Celtics. Also, do you know, folks, if Milwaukee loses tonight, there's a greater chance that they keep their 1st round pick next year. So some amazing things going on in the East where the Bucks don't even want to win this game. The Sixers need to win it. And then if you take a look at the Heat and the Wizards, they're both probably going to win their games tonight, where you might look at the Milwaukee Bucks going from 6 all the way to 8 to play the Toronto Raptors in the 1st round of the NBA playoffs. Some interesting stuff popping off here.
Yeah, big time stuff in NBA. It's in some ways to actually have an angle, maybe an advantage over the odds makers. Guys, we got a bunch of people in the live chat. It's actually pretty funny. Sunny Vega, Ian looks so fresh. Ian, you're looking fresh, man.
Mm-hmm. Is that why I'm the only one showing up? I'm the only one looking fresh, or what's going on here? Yeah. You're right. It's still on me here, this camera. Yeah.
Well, we got
Drew.
Yeah. What's up, man? I couldn't.
Drew, you there today? Are you ready to go?
Like
what are you up to?
All right, guys, we got 60 seconds of Ian Cameron, then some MLB talk and best bets coming up. Best bets hitting over 60%, 2-2 last week. Ian, 60 seconds of Ian Cameron, I guess mostly NHL playoffs. What's up with the NHL? You know, I don't follow it very closely, bet it really, but I'm interested in kind of getting involved for the playoffs just as entertainment. So really interested in your analysis. But is there something different as far as the playoff bracket goes this year? Could you explain that?
Yeah, based on the way the camera's going, it might be 60 minutes of Ian Cameron today, but that's another
yeah,
story.
You're not on a tight leash here, man.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, as much as I love it, I don't understand this playoff format. I complained about it last year when we had Pittsburgh and Washington, clearly the two teams with the most points in the Eastern Conference, playing each other in the second round as opposed to the Eastern Conference final. I didn't like that. It doesn't make any sense to me. I know the NHL has moved to this format with wild card and divisional series for the most part because they want to emphasize rivalries, divisional battles. I understand that, but you're doing it at times at the disservice of logic. And the logic says that when the top two teams in points in the conference meet in the playoffs, they should be doing it in the conference final, not in the second round. And unfortunately, we saw that last year with Pittsburgh and Washington, top two teams in the East in the second round instead of the conference final. We might see it again this year in the West if Nashville and Winnipeg face off in the second round. That's when they would play Nashville and Winnipeg in the second round, not in the conference final. So I don't like that. I think it's a situation where if you're the top two teams, you should be in that conference final. It just makes it basically knocks a really, really good team out of there sooner than maybe they should. So the playoff format, I know they want to emphasize the divisional rivalries, but to me, it's a format that I'd still prefer the NBA way. 1 through 8 in the conference, 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, go that way, and you're going to have the 1 versus 2 in each conference meet in the conference finals where they should if they get there.
And Ian, how do they do that? Like, why would that happen? Why wouldn't the number 1 team be number 1 and the number 2 team be number 2?
It's because they want it. They want divisional rivalries, and they love doing this NCAA tournament style bracket. Like if you go on the NHL.com website, you'll see a bracket, and it's basically going to play out as the bracket is, as the bracket's aligned, and the team that advances in the top two would play each other in that bracket. And just like what you would see in the NCAA tournament, a bracket format, regardless of seeds, regardless of what points teams have during the regular season. Apparently, they want to do this fill out the bracket thing. They want to pretend they're like the NCAA tournament. You're not Gary Bettman. You're not the NCAA tournament. You don't get the eyeball. You don't get a quarter of the eyeballs that the NCAA tournament gets. So let's pipe down with trying to be another March Madness here with the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. That's another part of the reason why they've gone to this format. I don't like it. I don't hate it as much as some people do, but I don't like it. I still prefer the original playoff format where you got 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, etc. in each conference.
Okay, thanks for that, Ian. And we got David Hutton in the live chat saying SBR all Ian all the time due to the video. Guys, actually, Johan, the producer, just told me we're going to just go black for about 10 seconds. So we're going to keep streaming. But just to let you all know, just to hang on about 10, 15 seconds, and we'll be right back with MLB and Best Bets.